Hi everyone and welcome to the Warhammer podcast. We're your hosts, Jack
and Dan.
Today we're going to be talking about what is happening with the Combat Patrol magazines.
What
Dan.
is going on?
Where are they, Dan? Well, I want them right now. Where are they?
Yeah.
So
it's I mean, the only thing 40k players love more than playing 40k is complaining about 40k. But
I'm ready. I'm ready, Dan. Full podcast ready to go.
I think there's some legitimate concerns here. I mean, the magazine Combat Patrol is the talk of the 40k community because it does offer a cheap way to access miniatures and also for beginners to get into the hobby by playing Combat Patrol. Yeah. But the magazine launch has been beset with problems. There were delays, there were some issues around availability, and there's potentially a risk around rules accessibility, which might not be as bad as we initially thought, but we'll come on to that.
It's literally just changed.
I think it's just. I'm pretty sure in between me starting to research this and the point of recording that GW has updated.
Tinfoil hat situation going on right now.
It's a conspiracy.
You know? We've got the inside scoop. Yes.
I mean, the two options are either I'm wrong or it's a conspiracy. So it's obviously a conspiracy, isn't it?
Which one? Conspiracy. It's always conspiracy. But yeah, so no, obviously, no, please like, share, subscribe.
Yes.
Really good for us. We're doing really well at the minute.
Yeah, thank you so much for all the support. Please keep it coming. Liking and sharing in particular is great, and sub-wise, we're doing great. So yeah, if you haven't subbed and you like the content, please give us a sub. It's free and it helps the channel.
Really appreciate it.
And moving on then, so in terms of those people that don't know what Combat Patrol is, what is Combat Patrol?
I guess it's just like an easier way to play 40k, isn't it? There's lots of rules out there. It's hard to grasp all the stuff going on. So Combat Patrol is I don't want to say dulled down way of playing it because that makes it sound boring.
Yeah, it's slightly dumbed down to make it more accessible, I suppose, but it's still 40k. Yeah, it launched in 10th edition, and GW billed it as the quickest and most straightforward way to start collecting and playing 40k. It's the gateway drug to 40k. Exactly. How it's meant to work.
I've got the intro ready.
And it's like each faction has a predefined roster, so there's no faffing about creating your own army list. It's what comes in the Combat Patrol box.
Exactly. Not every unit has the rules for Combat Patrol. Yeah. So it's really careful because some people do just want to go out there and be like, that looks cool, I'm going to grab that. It's like, be careful. If you're looking to play combat, it might not fit what you're looking for.
Very true.
Very careful.
And a Combat Patrol box itself retails from GW, so Warhammer Online or a Warhammer store, it's £100. Or obviously the equivalents in your currencies wherever you are. And in the UK, certainly, I'd imagine it's the same elsewhere. It can be up to 20% cheaper from a local gaming store, so bear that in mind.
Yes.
And that's going to be important when we discuss various other elements later on.
Yeah, definitely.
Starting with, are Combat Patrols actually cheap? Is the box a good value?
Yeah, it's a hard one because obviously we've talked in depth before about boxes about like the free Ps.
Oh yes,
points per pound.
Yes,
and we haven't got the analysis on that one yet. We'll probably do maybe another video in the future about that one. But realistically, if you look at it, yes, you will save money. That's the flat answer. That's what you're looking for. Thanks for watching. Take care. But realistically, yes, you will save money.
I mean, there is a however, because for the past year or so, GW has been updating the Combat Patrol boxes. So it's been replacing the old Combat Patrol boxes from 9th edition and bringing new ones out. But what they've been doing during that process is reducing the savings you get from buying a box versus buying a unit separately.
Yes.
So I'm going to give you an example of Space Marines. So the old Combat Patrol had a Primaris Lieutenant in Phobos armor, 10 infiltrators, 3 suppressors, 3 eliminators, and an impulsor. It's got a vehicle in there. 17 infantry and a vehicle. Now, that was pretty good value.
Pretty big. That was really nice.
The new Combat Patrol has Captain in Terminator armor, Librarian in Terminator armor, 5 Terminators, and 5 Infernus Marines. Now, for a start, that's only 12 infantry and no vehicle. Yeah. But secondly, all of those are the push-to-fit models from the Leviathan box. So why would you spend £100 buying it in a Combat Patrol? I don't know.
Yeah, it's an odd one.
I mean, the savings are reduced because the value of the minis in each box is reduced. And as I said, buy a starter set. If you're looking at Space Marines or Tyranids, don't buy the Combat Patrols because they're not good value.
Yeah, it's a strange one. Just it appears like looking at that as well. I haven't done the math, but I'll put it on screen. In fact, I'll put it on screen. What was the price? What was the points different? Like how many points were in the old Combat Patrol box compared to the new one?
Yeah, I'll definitely. The old one will definitely.
More points, right? Which
I would think it has more points.
Which just realistic then, that's then saying, well, actually you've then got to spend more to get up to 2,000 points because realistically everyone out there will be playing 2,000 points. I know that we're talking about Combat Patrols, but like, I just feel like this is a buy-in, but now you're gonna have to spend more to get up to where people are. The majority of people are playing their games.
Absolutely.
So that's not really amazing. And as well, so I think this is the part where it's slightly changed, because we're going to talk about slightly how some of the units in there don't actually have rules for combat patrols.
I think that still remains the case, and we'll come on to that. I think what we'll do next is talk about Combat Patrol magazines, because this, while they've got the same name, these are two different things. So I don't want to treat you like idiots, but bear in mind what we're trying to explain here. So you've got your Combat Patrol boxes, and you've got your Combat Patrol game. So I've actually got 3 uses of Combat Patrol.
And that's like something that's around all the time. And is this something different than the Christmas stuff that's just coming out?
Yes, the Combat Patrols are separate. They are specifically designed for the Combat Patrol game now. Right. So the units you get in a Combat Patrol box are the units that you have rules for the Combat Patrol game. Mm-hmm. The Combat Patrol magazine is something different. This is a magazine that's a partnership between Games Workshop and a company called Hachette Partworks. They've done them very successfully before. We've just had one called Stormbringer, which was for Age of Sigmar. Before that, we had Imperium, which was a massive success for 40k. Mm-hmm. It's a weekly series, this series, of 90 magazines. And over the course of that distribution, you will get the minis to make up the Combat Patrol boxes of 9 different factions. Mm-hmm. So by buying the magazine every week, you will end up with the same minis that are in 9 Combat Patrol boxes, which is quite a lot.
It's quite a lot. That is more than.
Do you want to run us through the
list of 9? Of armies? Certainly can. So 9 rings for the mortal men. No, so yes,
that's exactly what I was thinking.
Just watch Lord of the Rings. So it's all in my head. But yeah, so basically, there's Eldari or Eldar. Mm-hmm. Sorry, GW. Astra Militarum, Chaos Space Marines, Genestealer Cult, League of Votan, Orcs, Space Marines, Tyranids, and lastly, World Eaters.
Yeah, it's not a bad little spread, to be honest.
It's a very, what? This is the issues, because like I sit there and I'm like, do people really want that many armies? And like, yes, it can be very good, especially if you're not too sure what you like yet. You see the hobby and you're like, oh, this sounds good. But I guess my main gripe with it, I'd probably say, is that how long are you going to have to wait to get a full Combat Patrol?
So the way they're going to do it is in pairs, which I don't know how that works with 9,
right?
Because that's an odd number. Yeah. But that's, who knows? Yeah. So and I'm assuming this from how it started and what I've read elsewhere. But so the what I've read, because we'll come on to this, but I haven't actually received any magazines yet. So they're starting with the Space Marines and the Tyranids.
Right.
So you will get, in theory, you should complete those first, and then it'll move on to the next 2 factions.
Mm-hmm. So it really sucks though, because like, let's say you're looking at that and you're like, oh, World Eaters, I can't wait for World Eaters. Yeah. I want World Eaters, and then you've got to wait like they're like
nearly
the last
2 years. Yeah,
yeah. So you're paying X amount of money per. Well, how much actually is it? Like $9.99.
It's $9.99 in an issue. Yeah,
per issue, right? Yeah. So then you've got to wait that long to get the army that you actually want.
Yeah,
it's quite. I don't know, but then at the same time, I guess that makes more sense, because you kind of space out like, oh, every week there'll be a new army. So like within the first 9 weeks, you've only got 1 unit from
every army. You can't,
so you can't really play the game at that point, can you?
No, I think they're doing it the right way by doing it in pairs, and then they'll have like 1 straggler at the end.
Yeah.
Or maybe they'll do it in a trio at the end. Who knows? We'll see. But they if you are subscribing to buy all of the magazines, I don't know anybody that wants 9 different factions. I mean, even
especially to start off with, right?
Even if you're a big collector.
New collectors might be like, oh, this would be like, I've got like 6 out of 9 of those armies. It'd be good to maybe fluff out the lists that I've got. That might be very good for them. But if you're new to the hobby and you're getting told, hey, we're going to give you 9 armies. Is that what really people want? Maybe it is. Maybe I'm wrong. But
yeah, let us know in the comments. But I mean, there's a couple of ways I can see gaming it out, if you like.
Because like, who is this for? Well, I think we've had this conversation before, but realistically, is it for new people? Is it for existing people? Because there's almost elements of good and bad for both sides.
I think if you were a subscriber to the whole magazine, the ways you can benefit is if you were a local gaming club and you wanted to have some combat patrols of your own. It's a cheap way of doing it, so that you can then, people, you've got like in-house armies that people can play. That would be one way to do it, I guess. Yeah. And in theory, if you're trying to grow, or if you like a Warhammer club at a school in particular, combat patrol is meant to be a good way to get younger people in. Yeah. So that could work, but that's quite niche.
It is niche. It's a good shout.
The other one is if you've got more than one mate, unlike me, if there's 3 of you, for example, you could just pick. You get 3 factions each. Yeah. Then that that's affordable, and you've got that variety without overload.
That's fair. That is true. I've put on here saying if Dan doesn't want any of those models, I'll gladly take donations.
Yeah, well, I haven't got any yet, so
that's fair. That's fair. Yeah,
but yeah, I think I subscribed out of FOMO, and we'll come on to that in a bit. But I don't know what I'm going to do with them all. I'll be honest.
Here's a question then. So, what can you join in like halfway through, or do you have to subscribe?
I don't think you can. I think there's usually a cut-off point for the subscription. For example, I missed it with Imperium magazine because I was just lazy. And by the time I was like, I think I'm going to subscribe to this, because I didn't realize how many Necrons were in it, and it would have been great for me, and I just missed it. I missed a cut-off.
Yeah.
So there will be a cut-off. I don't know if they've passed that point yet, but let us know if you've tried to subscribe and you can't.
Do you reckon? Thinking about it now, I'm a little bit surprised that they didn't just say, "Hey, do you want to just subscribe just to this army?"
Yeah, that would be the way to do it.
Because it would have been like, maybe they could have said like, "Oh, you've maybe got to subscribe to at least 3 of the armies."
Yeah,
that might have worked a bit better.
I think so. I just don't think Hachette is geared up to do that. We'll come on to this, but I don't think they're a particularly well-run company. But a lot of these,
sorry,
yeah, but a lot of these part works, if you've seen them advertised on TV before, it's like, build a pirate galleon over 80 issues or whatever.
Got you.
But you have to buy them all to build this one thing.
Yeah.
Whereas this one is like 9 different, like you say, 9 different factions. It's almost a different business model for them.
That's fair. That's true.
If I was them, I would have done exactly what you said. Like, you would maybe make it a minimum of 3, but you could pick which ones you wanted.
Yeah, pick which ones you want. And then, like you say, it's like, all right, well, if you picked one at the very start and one at the very end, well, that sucks for you, but at least you're only getting the models you want.
Yes,
realistically. Yeah. Talking about like why you haven't got yours and such. Where can you buy these from?
So you can subscribe direct to Hachette Powerworks, as we said, which is what I've done. And how that works is they post them out. If it works the same way as it has in the past, anyway, they post them out in batches of 4 issues once per month. So let's say issues 1 to 4 at the end of September, they would post them out to you. So they would come out at the beginning of September on the shops, but you get them at the end of the month. And that also comes with a few more perks. Like there is a premium option in the subscription. You can pay, I think it's £2 an issue extra. So over the course of it, it's like £180 more. Yeah. But you get some access to some premium kits, which is some bigger models.
Yeah, some nice models in there. I think like the Rogel Dawn and such is in there for the...
There's some okay stuff in there, Also, just be aware. Read the small print. Is you if you subscribe to the through Hachette, there's some extra stuff like you get binders and some lovely like folders and stuff. Yeah. But you have to pay extra for the binders. They charge you extra for those.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Oh, bloody hell.
But just be aware of that. Yeah. If you are more interested in just picking up the odd unit, you can get this from some newsagents and some supermarkets.
Yep.
You've got to be quick.
Yeah.
You can also get it from Forbidden Planet. That's a better option because they offer it online and in store.
Yes, they do.
But again, for the really popular issues, you will have to be very quick off the mark.
Yeah, there's some of the ones that just don't sell at all.
So there's one that's just come out. I think it was issue 5. Is a unique model to this Combat Patrol magazine, which is it's not that exciting. It's an Infernus Marine alternative model. So it's like an Infernus Marine Sergeant almost.
Right.
But that issue...
Space Marine players are going crazy right now.
Well,
like, oh my God!
That issue just disappeared like that from
it would.
Forbidden Planet. It's just you can't find it anywhere.
Well, I went into Forbidden Planet to pick up some... I was just there to just have a look, collecting Pokemon cards, basically. Yeah. But then I seen the tournament. Issue 2 was out there.
Aye.
And they had loads of them. And I was looking, I was like... Oh, I think it was the Leapers. I think it was something. Yeah. I picked up 2 magazines.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, it was like $6.99 or something like that.
Yeah, so the early ones are discounted. Issue 1 was $2.99 and issue 2 was $6.99. The $6.99 for 3 Von Ryan's Leapers is insanely good.
Yeah, on GW it's like £32. Yeah, so I was like, all right, well, I'll buy one. And then I walked away and I was like, I was talking my last, and I was like, I'm gonna get another one. Like they're pretty good price. I should have bought more really, but 2 was enough. Like
I think so. You like to. It's a good thing to do because people will go in and buy loads. Some stores will limit it to 1 per person to try and stop that because the scalpers will go in and buy all of a good issue and then whack it on eBay for a markup.
Yeah, double the price. Talk about that later.
Well, actually, yeah. I mean, last time around with Imperium, you bought, and I bought a few, but you bought quite a few on eBay, didn't you?
Yeah, it was the flayed ones. So basically, it's a strange one because I know we're seeing their scalpers and such, which they are. They're there to get money and such. Yeah. But like for me, I couldn't find any of them in the shops. I was really looking for those flayed ones because
Yeah.
again they're like £36 or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
It's
quite
ridiculous.
expensive now.
Really for 5 models,
Yeah.
for very thin guys. It's just not worth the plastic basically. But yeah, so I found them on eBay and they were £15.
Yeah.
And I was like, bargain. In my eyes, at that moment of time, I was like, £15, that's half price from GW.
In an Imperium magazine at that time was about £8, so it's
Yes.
basically double the price of
Scalpers.
the magazine. So the scalper's making 100% profit,
Yep.
but it's still 50% less than GW.
Exactly. So in my mind, I mean, I know there were scalpers
win.
and such, but
Yeah.
for me at that time, that was a bargain.
Yeah.
And I bought a few. I bought more than what I'm allowed to feel in the current edition.
Yes, in 9th
Put
you
it in
could
that
feel
perspective.
60, couldn't you?
Yeah,
And
that was
in-
beautiful times.
yeah.
Beautiful
In
times.
10th you can only feel 30, but
Yeah.
that was, I mean, that's a great example, and that's also, as much as I dislike the scalping, that is also an example of where it was a win-win because the
Exactly.
scalper made money, but you still made money.
I still made
yeah.
good
So
money,
that's it's
yeah.
kind of maybe that's not scalping. I don't know.
Well, that's it. It's a hard comments below, but I
Yeah.
mean, I guess it is technically still scalping, but at the same time, still technically saving money.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was good, but yeah, save loads of money on that.
Good.
And I'll probably end up doing the same again for these ones.
I think, I think so. I mean, let's have a look at it and see is it good value. So you've got 9 factions over 90 issues. That means roughly 10 issues a faction.
Yep.
It's going to be slightly different because some issues will have paints and brushes and stuff in, but
Exactly.
as an average, that's what we're going to get. So 10 issues per faction at £9.99 an issue. I mean, yes, the first 2 are cheaper, but basically it's around. That's
Yeah.
what you're going to pay.
The rest of it,
So
yeah.
that's £99.90. So let's go back to what we talked about. It's £100 for a Combat Patrol box from GW. You
Yep.
can get one for roughly £80 from an independent.
Yeah.
Or £99.90. £99.90 for a Combat Patrol from the magazine is a saving of 10 pence versus GW's price.
Love it. Love it.
I mean,
Get buying.
on paper, that's not a very good saving.
Yeah.
In fairness, though, you do get bonus units per faction from this magazine. So,
Yep.
for example, along with what's in the Combat Patrol box, Space Marines also get a chaplain on a bike, which is a pretty cool model.
Nice
And it's
model.
probably about another 30.
Chaplains are pretty cool right
Probably about
now.
another 30 odd quid.
So hot right now.
And there's the other extras that you're going to get within it. So you get paint, snips, brushes, dice, paper play mats, all a nice bunch of
You know,
extras. Yeah.
that does add up. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
We did obviously a very big breakdown of like models and such online before, but like snips, paints, paintbrushes, they add up to a canny bit of money.
Particularly if you buy them from GW. We've just done a video on the true cost of buying a 2,000 point army, and I
Yep.
think the price that they GW charge for things like snips is mental.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's stupidly expensive than what people
We've
expect.
also done a video when Combat Patrol was announced way back in January. We did a video about this as well with some points per pound analysis.
Yeah.
So we'll probably put a link to that in the description. It's like outdated now, but it'll give you a good yardstick, won't it?
Definitely will.
So yeah, there's in terms of value, it's subjective as always with 40k, isn't it?
It is because like this is where you know for a new collector who's getting into it, that sounds great. But my issue is that let's say you are new to the hobby and you're like, oh, this sounds great. I'll be able to build on my models. The first few editions you get are they all push to fit? Actually, should we say?
The first ones are push to fit. Yeah, the Tyranids and the Marines are the new
Right,
ones.
okay,
yeah.
that's good.
Yeah.
So I was going to have a little rant there. I'm glad you stopped it because I was going to be like, well, let's say you get all these models, you don't have the snips, you don't have the glue.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, well, what do I do? I've got
Yeah,
the magazine. I'm
yeah.
going to have to go buy them. Then you come back, and it's like, all right, now I've got them later. So
Yes.
that makes sense how it all push to fit.
I think it's the initial way it's built of like, you know, you get the push to fit models, but here's some glue, here's some snips, here's some paintbrushes, here's some paints, so it gives you pretty much everything.
good
Here's some
starting point.
dice. It gives you everything you need to get in for a beginner. I think that there is value there. Yeah.
Fair enough. But I'll hold off on my rant then.
I mean, if you get the premium tier as well, you said I think if you do the maths on that, the extra £2 a month compared to the models that you get, because you get a premium models for each you get something
gets
extra
one.
for each
Correct,
faction.
yes.
That's pretty decent.
And it's a big one because again I mentioned about the Royal Dawn, that's going for like £50, £60. So that's just for one army, and each army gets something unique.
Each army gets something. You get 9 extra big things if you like. It's good.
Exactly. You definitely start seeing the price difference at that point. But for me, it's just for this deal, it's a good deal. It's again on paper it's okay, but when you get into the figures, you do save a bit of money when you add in all the extra stuff. If you don't need the extra stuff, like me, I'm probably just gonna be picking up stuff randomly.
100%.
When I see that in the shop, I'm going to pick it up. If I see it on eBay, if there's one that I particularly want, I'm going to come to you first.
Yeah,
but if
yeah.
there's one that I want that you don't have, I will be going on just eBay to basically pick them up or
yeah.
going to WH Smith, all that sort of jazz. Because
Yes.
I don't need all them armies. I want all them armies. I want to make that clear, but I don't need them right now.
Yeah, this is what happens is like I just subscribed partly out of FOMO, but partly because we've got such a good circle of gaming now. I know I can hopefully offload most of them to like either people within our inner circle, or even within the wider circle of my gaming club at the West Lotman Wildlings.
Thing is with this though, like again, you are becoming a scalper, but when you sell them on to us,
I just sell them at cost.
Yeah, exactly.
I did it with the Stormbringer magazine because I had great intention of getting into Age of Sigmar and really decided that I haven't got enough time. Wasn't for me.
It's so
for the Wildlings, I've just gone, look, I've paid 9 or 10 quid for these. You can have them for tenner. Just say basically what I've paid. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in making money off people that I roll dice with to that respect.
Well, that's it.
And it's also, if it helps your friends out, it
also,
do any,
the deals that we
harm,
do, deals that we do between ourselves.
Yeah, we always do like mates rates.
A bunch of Tyranids. Be like, look, I'd rather see you play them than them go elsewhere.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Like, we're selling to our friends, and we're going to see them play with them. So it just makes it a lot better, isn't it?
As long as we don't give them a good army that then they start.
That's it. And they start winning and be like, I give them models back.
I'm going to take all the good units out until they're low in the meta, and then they can have them. Yeah,
exactly. But speaking about like how you haven't got them, and I found it weird where I got home and I was like, oh Dan, look at this, I've got my I've got second edition. You're like, I'm still waiting on my first one.
So for me, there's been 3 problems with this. First of all, the trial run was a failure in terms of delivery. There's been delays in delivery as we've mentioned already in terms of the subscription.
Yeah,
and I think there's risks around rules compatibility, which, as we've said, between start researching this and recording it, GW has addressed some of that, but I still think there's risks around it, so I'm still going to talk about it. In terms of trial run failure, so we were encouraged to sign up for a trial period that was meant to start in January 2024. Never happened. Didn't receive a single. It was meant to be the first 4 issues.
Yeah.
Nobody that signed up for the trial period got them. Just didn't get them.
Why? Does anyone know why? Please,
we don't know. Yeah, they did the they did the trial. I think it was in Manchester and somewhere else. It certainly wasn't in Newcastle, but they did the trial in 2 cities and just put it into retail, so into supermarkets and newsagents, and you could buy them there. And that was to gauge what the appetite was going to be like to see how many they needed to do for a full run, or even if it was worth it, I guess.
Sure.
So in fairness to them, they apologised to people like me that signed up for the trial run, and they sent us a free Crusade rules book, which is still in the cellophane because we don't play Crusade at the moment. We are thinking about, in fairness, aren't we? Like one of our pals, Max, is kind of nudging us towards it, so we might give it a go. But so that wasn't the worst thing in the world. Like not getting the first 4 issues in January, okay, I can live with that.
Sure, yeah. Like you don't need them right now. Space Marine Tyranids.
The delays in the delivery are a little bit more irritating. So. Issue 1, came out to buy in stores at the end of August.
Yeah.
It's early October and I still haven't received issue 1 in the post from Hachette. I spoke to them. They couldn't give me a concrete delivery date still. Their best they could say was they're aiming for mid-October.
Mid-October, that's so bad.
And they said it's due to issues with stock. Basically, they haven't got enough to meet demand.
Why is it always stock with GW and anything to do with Warhammer? It's always like, I haven't got enough, sorry. But like, again, like, I went in, obviously, Forbidden Planet the other week. There was loads of them on the shelf. I'm talking loads of them.
I'm going to, I need to give Hachette a right to reply, so I need to email them about this, and I will update you if they give us an answer, but I have a theory about this, and what it is I'm speaking to other people online, like on social media, etc. All the people who have had experienced delays in getting this were the people that signed up for the trial period in January. So they were meant
the most committed, most loyal people.
Well, yeah, but they sent us all emails saying, "Don't worry, the trial hasn't happened. Here's this Crusade book as an apology. You will automatically be subscribed to the magazine when it comes out."
Sure.
And I think they've forgotten to automatically subscribe us, and then they've gone, "Oh shit, these people are not getting their magazines."
That's so bad.
It's terrible. It would not surprise me. I hope I'm wrong about this, but it would not surprise me if they come back to some of us and say we can't. Just cancel the subscription. Yeah,
that's so bad.
If they, or if they do that, then you're going to get the mother of all rant videos.
Expect that coming soon. But like again, like the thing is, like it annoys me. They know how many people have subscribed, so they've got the number. Yeah. Of how many magazines
that's their business model. Yeah,
they know how many they've got to park to one side. Be like, all right, cool. This is how many people have subscribed. Right. Parked to one side. The rest of them are for stores, whatever. So you got to get them. Sucks.
The Yeah, and it might be being the thing with Hachette, right? Is they have to print the magazine as well. It's not just getting the models to go with the sprue off GW.
Bit of paper.
They have to print the magazine. Yeah, but it's
True.
I mean, a lot of printing that happens abroad, and like GW, and up until recently, was printing everything in China, and there's long lead times.
Yeah.
So they, like you say, they tend to know how many. The way they work is they like subscribers because it's a set baseline number of people of issues they produce, and then if they've got a sophisticated way of working out how many they're going to sell for retail.
Yeah.
So it might not be that Hachette's forgot about the subscribers, the trial subscribers. It might be that it comes back to GW not supplying enough sprues. So they might have. That seems more likely to me because
we've seen it happen plenty of times with other little smaller
loads
companies.
of times. And then because it would make more sense than Hachette's having the sprues, but then having to reprint the magazine, that kind of thing. So.
And they are sending them in batches as well. They're not sending one out every week.
They don't send, because postage would be insane cost for them. So you pay, the postage costs are pretty much included. You pay a little bit at the beginning for your postage, and I think that's it. So so they send them out in batches of 4.
Yeah, so every month something like that.
So that other people have already had the first batch of 4 and are now expecting delivery of the second batch, but that's late for them. So something's definitely
going
not right.
Wrong,
yeah,
as always there. Yeah, because I think GW really struggled to you look at the Leviathan cards that came out. I only just got mine like a week ago.
The Brian Nexus mission deck. Yeah.
That came out oversold, but then didn't print enough.
Yeah.
And then everyone struggled to get them out. We were going to tournaments and they didn't even have them printed.
No.
And it was like, well, sorry, man. I know like the rules of the tournament is to bring your own rules, but the out of stock. Here's my order. Here's my order number if you want to use that. But it's an absolute nightmare. Is it acceptable?
I mean, it's a first world problem, isn't it? Like,
it is.
Oh, my minis are late.
Yeah, well, how dare they? I want to pay my little miniatures.
Equally, in this day and age, the reason it annoys people or upsets people is because we expect when you pay for goods and services that they turn up in a reasonable time.
Yeah,
and GW just repeatedly gets that wrong.
Yeah, and I mean, realistically, it's £40 a month for a subscription.
Yeah,
that's depending on how you look at it. That's expensive for a lot of people.
It's £50 if you've got the premium.
There you go. Yeah. So it just gets worse. It's £50 for a subscription. It's like, well, again, I think it's just more. I think it's more annoying that they're in the shop. Like you can go in there now and you can see a couple of issues. Again, some of them will be sold out. But
it's not the end of the world because if you are anything like me, all of us have got stuff in a pile of shame already. So it's not like I've got no models to paint this week. What am I going to do? Mm-hmm. I can paint something else.
That is true.
So in that respect, but it is if you were planning on having all of this ready by like the end of November, built and painted so you could play your friend or whatever, that's not going to happen.
No,
but it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, it's not really a good intro to this as well because they've done really well with the other ones, didn't they? As far as I think,
I don't remember any issues, any challenges around distribution with Imperium. But if you remember anything, let us know. But I think it was okay. Yeah. And Stormbringer seemed to run fairly smoothly. The only thing there was a couple of times where they were like, we've sent you the wrong sprue or we've forgotten to give you this, here's an extra thing. And I was like, I didn't even notice, but thanks.
I wasn't keeping track, but
and that arrived almost like clockwork.
Hey, do you reckon people are doing the same for this one then, where they're just like, all right, it's late, sure, that's fine. I think most of them were just sitting there being like, oh, well, as you say, I've got enough Warhammer, I don't need to.
Yeah, I think it's just the anxiety that it might get cancelled, that they might have just messed this up so bad that you might not get it. And I think if you're a worrier like me, then that you will worry.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's not a massive problem. As long as it turns up, I think everyone will be okay.
Well, you mentioned that Primaris special one that's in the editions.
That's in issue 5, I think. Yeah.
So if you think of it this way, again, more hypothetical or anything like that, but imagine again, you're like, well, I'm subscribed and I want that model because that's a unique model, a part of the set, and you see it in the shop, and you're like, well, I want to buy it because, well, I know I'm getting it because I'm subscribed and it's just not here yet. And then let's say your subscription then gets cancelled later on. You've missed out on a unique model that was part of the set. And that's where maybe more frustrations might come from.
Absolutely. I think that's a really good point. We're just going to have to wait and see how it plays out. But at the moment, it's a little bit vague and a little bit disquieting that they're not able to provide us with some concrete answers.
Yeah.
But let's take them at the word. If it turns up in mid-October, then I will update you.
We'll eat this podcast.
Well, yeah, I mean,
sorry.
It's still going to be 6 weeks late. So, 6 weeks since it started, 6 or 7 weeks since it started. Yeah. So it is not ideal, but it will be okay.
If you had to request something free from them now,
say
to the audience, what do you want?
Well, I was thinking about this yesterday. I'm like, well, if they don't send me this and they cancel my subscription, I'm just going to make them send me every model that's in that range anyway. I'm like, well, I'm just, you can keep my money, but I want all these models.
Give me them all.
Yeah,
I love it.
But yeah, we'll see. I mean, the third one is a bit more amorphous now, but this is around game compatibility, and this is because there's some really good things about Combat Patrol, but there's also some risks around GW supporting the rules, because we've seen this a lot.
Yeah.
So when Combat Patrol launched this system, the rules are available free from the Warhammer website. They still are. You can just download a free PDF for the core rules.
I didn't know
It's
that
really
until
good.
you showed me this morning.
I love it.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's available as a downloadable PDF. You've got the core rules, and then there's rules for units in each faction's Combat Patrol. Now, as GW has updated the Combat Patrols, the new Combat Patrols are not in the PDF. But the rules are also available for free on the 40k app. And this is one of the few areas where GW has done the right thing on the app.
It is, yeah.
So even when they've brought a codex out, like if they've brought Gene Stealer Cult's codex out, but the access to the Combat Patrol rules is still free. It's not paywalled. You don't have to buy the codex.
Yeah,
I think that's really good.
It is good because again, it just helps those newer players to the hobby where it's like, oh well, look, I'm already buying this, I'm already buying that. I don't want to have to buy more. So having those rules available is a good win.
And the risk around this was when I started researching this. GW, as it's updated the Combat Patrol boxes, so as your faction got a new combat, as your faction got a new Combat Patrol box, the rules for the old Combat Patrol box were deleted from the app.
Yes.
So there was just one Combat Patrol rule, one set of rules for one Combat Patrol on the app, and it was always a new one. However, since when I checked again this morning,
literally this morning,
they are back.
See, they've bugged my house.
Yeah,
they GW are listening to us. They're just like, these guys are on us already.
Yeah.
Well, but let's change the rules.
Yeah.
Deploy.
Well, I only shared this with you, so
exactly.
If you grasped me up.
Oh, I'm the inside man. I'm sorry. I need to get out of here.
Secret agent.
Sorry, Dan.
But no, I mean that's a good thing. So I mean, from a content creator perspective, it means I can't rant about this.
Yeah.
But I'm positive.
Damn you!
Want to be being positive. Well done, GW, because they've put the old rules back in, and this is important because they gave us at the beginning of announcing this Combat Patrol magazine, they gave us a massive picture that shows all of the Combat Patrols that you're going to get.
Yeah,
and some of them are the old Combat Patrols. I think it's Gene Stealer Cults and Orcs. Yeah, they look like they are the old ones. Yeah. The Orc one is easy to spot because the old one had Death Copters in it.
Yes,
and the Gene Stealer Cults one had. I'm going to get names wrong, but it's like the bigger vehicle, like the rock grinder type of thing, I think it is. Sure. And the new one doesn't have that. So it looks like they're the old ones. So the danger was if you'd bought the old, if you bought these Combat Patrol magazines, you wouldn't be buying game-compatible Combat Patrol minis.
Because you wouldn't have the rules for it and all that sort of jazz. So that's really interesting. I'm glad they have made the change. But do you think that picture was just a placeholder?
Well, that's the other possibility, isn't it? Is that they just didn't have the new Combat Patrols when they did the picture. So maybe the
or didn't know what was going to be actually in it at the time.
So maybe by the time we get round to the Orc one, maybe it's the new box, which is the more beast snaggery than the old one. We'll just have to wait and see. The only other thing I would mention as well is that while GW has definitely, in my opinion anyway, has updated the app so that you've got both of your Combat Patrols for most of your factions. If you've got 2 Combat Patrols, you've got 2 sets of rules now, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
The only one it hasn't done that for is Necrons. Necrons is still just the new rules.
Yes.
So this is at the time of recording. If that's changed again by the time this comes out,
again,
my suspicions will be confirmed.
Get me out of here. I'm caught.
And the other thing to add is if you are subscribing to this magazine just specifically to play Combat Patrol, there's no rules for the extra minis.
Yes.
So you know, as we mentioned, you get a Space Marine Chaplain on a bike, cool mini.
Very
great,
cool.
You know, you can use it in proper 40k, but there's no rules to use it in Combat Patrol.
No.
So yeah,
it's maybe the decision was made to change it last minute. Maybe they just wanted a cool model for
it. I think it just worked out on the pricing when they were like, right, we want to run it for this many. They always run them for 80 or 90 editions.
Yeah.
I think they were thinking, well, we're just not giving them enough value to make it attractive.
Yeah.
So they bunged an extra unit in.
Why not?
Yeah. Which is not. It's not the end of the world. Like, oh no, I'm getting an extra mini.
Yeah. It's like, I'll take that away. I don't want that.
And it's you can kind of see like. The thinking of GW is like, we'll put this extra one in, and the people were thinking, well, I can't use that in Combat Patrol, but I could use it in like a full game of 40k.
Yeah,
so it might encourage people to make the transition.
Like this model can't be played. Ooh, how can I play him? Ooh, I need this, I need that. Yeah, makes sense.
So overall, it's I think it's really interesting. Like the price versus value thing is always going to be subjective to you. Like you said, if you are quick enough, like a kingfisher, to kind of jump in and grab an issue when it comes out, and you can just kind of do that with the issues that you want, you're going to extract quite a lot of good value out of this.
Well, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Because again, I'm not subscribed to it only because I don't want 9 armies in my backlog, but I do want some of the units from those armies, so that's what I'm really looking forward to. I'll be probably on eBay and such, having a little look for those models. Probably go in the shop as well, so I can pick any up.
I'll sort you out if I get a subscription.
There you go. It's recorded. Everyone hears it now. But I'm really looking forward to just picking up those cheap models. Again, if I get them half price and it's like a 100% increase for those guys, I don't mind that. No. I'm still saving half price money. That's still really good.
As long as it's a win-win, it's fine in my book.
Exactly. So I'll take all your spares. But it'd be really interesting to see how many people are actually playing combat patrols, because we've mentioned this before, where I had a comment, someone saying, "Oh, there's like tournaments run for combat patrols."
Yeah.
I had no idea that was a thing. I didn't know people done it, but again, probably maybe those local tournaments, as we mentioned before, that are probably doing those kind of ones.
Let us know in the comments, because in our scene, I'm not obviously in every club and shop in the Northeast, but in the ones that I am aware of or go to, I don't know of anybody that's really playing this in any kind of scale. You might be the odd couple of people that are playing it, but I don't know a lot of people that are playing it.
Didn't even cross my mind the last video we done on it. No. We seen that comment, I was like, oh, well, that makes sense, but not a thing for me.
So how popular it is going to be interesting. And I think if GW support the old boxes and they retain that free access to the rules and retain the rules for the older combat patrols,
big W.
That's brilliant.
Very nice. Very good to hear.
I mean, I'm still not going to be playing combat patrol as a game. I'm in this for the minis,
because we've already got the points realistically, haven't we? So
I mean, if I wanted to play it, I could do, but we mentioned this in the other video we did, but the rules are slightly different. So the data sheets, to balance the combat patrols, the data sheets are slightly different. So what Necrons do in their combat patrol box is not what they do necessarily in proper 40k.
And we can just play like one. We can always top up because in our cluster we've got plenty of people who play different armies. So I guess the good thing for us is that combat patrol might only make up like 500 points or something like that. We can just ask to borrow those units to make it up to 1,000 points to then play 1,000. That's what I'm
just 1k game. And I think if you do want to play 500 points, the game that I'm really looking forward to playing is boarding actions. That to me looks much more appealing because it's almost identical rules to 40k. There's some slightly different things about opening doors and line of sight, but it's cool.
It's just something different.
It also looks a bit like Space Hulk, which we both love. And my local club, the West Allotment Wildlings, is doing like a startup kind of learn how to play boarding actions through a pal of mine called Lee. Thank you, Lee. He's just literally just sent me some screenshots of the rule book so I can start planning what I want to do. So that's 500 points. So it's nice and accessible. It's about the same amount of models that you need for combat patrol.
There you go.
And I just think it looks a bit more fun.
Something different as well. More space hulky.
Our friend Alex has also got the set, I think, hasn't he?
He does. He's just got that. So I need to kind of.
We need to G him on a bit.
Get into it.
Well, we were talking earlier about some of the challenges of scheduling as we get older. This happens to everybody. It's a common problem. But a pickup game of 500 points of boarding actions or combat patrol, if that's your jam, but that's got a lot of appeal for like that kind of midweek. I've only got 2 hours to spare type thing.
Exactly, because I mean Warhammer's 3 hours, but realistically it's at least 4 because you're playing with friends, you have a bit of banter and such, so it'll always be a longer travel time as well. Got to factor that in. So
so good. I think overall, let us know what you think about this. I think if you've got the option to kind of dive in and out, that will suit a lot of people. If you subscribe and you get your subscription to the premium models, that's going to be good value. You're going to save some money there. Provided you can offload the ones the factions you don't want. So it's an interesting one, and I think it's going to spark a lot more discussion, but. It is looking quite positive if they can iron out a few of the issues that they're having with it at the moment.
Get them out. Get them sent out.
That would help. If you could actually deliver what you promised, that would help.
Everything else can come second. Actually send them out, please.
Good.
Very nice.
Cool. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that. We're really interested to know what you think about it, so let us know. And please keep liking, sharing, and subscribing. The channel's growing at a really good rate at the moment, so we really appreciate all the love we're getting from you guys. And we'll be back soon with a new video.
Thank you.